All right, everybody, some breaking news out of Tesla world in regards to Robotaxi. Here's a breaking news piece from Sawyer Merritt. I believe this is a Sawyer Merritt exclusive. News: Tesla has officially received approval from the Nevada DMV to start testing autonomous vehicles, aka Robotaxis, on public roads. Today, I confirmed directly with the Nevada DMV that Tesla's application to obtain a testing registry certification was approved by the DMV Office of Business Licensing team yesterday. Autonomous plates and the registry certificate were also sent back out to Tesla yesterday. Next, to officially start offering Robotaxi rides to the public in Nevada, Tesla will need to complete the self-certification for operation step to roll out a service similar to the one they currently operate in Austin, Texas, where there is no one in the driver's seat. This approval shouldn't be difficult to get. Make sure you go check out Sawyer Merritt on X. He breaks news about Tesla, Musk industry, electric vehicles, artificial intelligence all the time. Super good follow. Now, it does look like, my theory is that the market probably sniffed this out. For the day, Tesla's up 5%. There's been a little bit of a spike here in the last few minutes. Could be related to this news item, but it does seem like the stock market, at least Tesla specifically, is reacting pretty heavily to some sort of news. It could just be people are buying into the company, not investment or financial advice, but my guess is probably this has something to do with it. Now, one of the points that was discussed on the thread is that the regulations in Nevada are very similar to the ones in Texas. If I just do a quick search on Grok, it does look like a lot of things are aligned. I asked Grok, how are self-driving regulations similar between Texas and Nevada? And then Grok said they're both the most permissive. From my research from before, this is very much the case. The huge advantage that Tesla is going to have here in Nevada is that they're likely going to be able to launch Robotaxi without a person behind the steering wheel and pedal like they do in Austin, which is going to allow them to really hone in on the safety profile of the car and to also take an additional step from where they are in Austin, where they're operating without a person behind the steering wheel and pedal. Outside of the highways, in the highways, they do have a person behind the steering wheel and pedal. But this is going to enable Tesla to really scale up its operations in those regions much quicker than competitors because of the approach that Tesla has taken with the approach with artificial intelligence. We're already seeing this, right? So we saw in Austin, the geofence expanded very rapidly, but it's now going down, up and down corridors with highways in Austin. Right now, the company is requiring somebody to be behind the steering wheel and pedal in those highway corridors. Basically, that person in Austin is going from the passenger seat to the driver's seat, but that now is allowing Tesla to have a pathway to remove the person under every single setting, either highway or not on the highway. A very important distinction to make here versus competition, like Waymo as an example. Waymo does not operate with the public in the highways. They operate on a close course with very specific clientele. I believe it's just employees and maybe in a very close circuit. Right now, Robotaxi is technically open to the public, but they are letting in people slowly. But these are not employees or these are not special people. They're just people that live in the region that are being allowed into the service. And so there's an advantage that Tesla already has from a transportation perspective, because going through highways is going to allow people to get to their destinations much quicker than if they couldn't. We see this in the Bay Area already. In the Bay Area, I believe Tesla's trying to get to 100 driverless vehicles as quickly as the end of this month and make it available to the public so that people can go from point A to point B. But really the key distinction here is that Tesla doesn't really take the next step until they remove the safety rider or the driver from the driverless vehicle. Once they do that, though, they're going to be very well positioned because they already have a app out there in the public that people can download. Right now, if you're in the United States and you're on iPhone with Android coming soon, you can go in the App Store, download the Robotaxi app, get on the wait list. Doesn't matter where you live. Tesla's probably gathering a ton of data around where are the most likely regions that we should go into next. They're definitely going to start with these autonomous vehicle friendly states like your Nevadas. They're already in Texas. They're already in California. They probably want to go to Florida next. Michigan has pretty friendly self-driving regulation. Arizona is going to be another good one for them to get into. And there's other states as well that they can work with. I think New York is probably a little bit more friendly, but New York obviously has a city, New York City, Manhattan in particular, which is a crazy place to be. I was just there again this past weekend, and it's a reminder that those roads are freaking crazy, you guys. They're nuts over there. Beautiful city, though. I love it. Even the grime, and it's just. I used to be from the Northeast, so it's awesome. Anyway, the pathway is there for the company now, and I do wonder if again, we saw the stock price go up today quite significantly. I do wonder if the stock market, again, not investment or financial advice, but I do wonder if the stock market is starting to wake up to this possibility that Tesla is going to have a very quick pathway to being allowed to operate in the United States as a robotaxi network, probably quicker than some expected. Now, the net profitability from that service is probably going to be subdued for an extended period of time, probably for at least 2 years, if I were to guess, before Tesla can really show some massive earnings, let's say in the billions of dollars per year or more. But what they could show between now and then is the profitability profile of the robotaxi network in places where they're allowed to operate without a safety rider or driver behind the steering wheel and pedal, and having a really good ratio of robotaxi supervisors to actual robotaxis on the road. Once they hit that 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio between robotaxis and teleoperators, Tesla's going to be able to show profit on their robotaxi network somewhere in the region of, like, let's say, slightly gross margin positive to 20-30% gross margin positive. And then once they can get to, say, 10-to-1 robotaxi to teleoperator ratio or 100-to-1, then that's when you start experiencing massive profit per mile. And I don't think Tesla is that far from that, especially with the guidance from Elon Musk very recently from his interview with the All In podcast, where he said that they expect V14, this next generation of the self-driving software, to have 2 to 3 times of a safety profile that is better than a human.
I am confident that the current chips, AI4 chips that are in the cars, will achieve self-driving safety that is at least 2 to 3 times that of human, and maybe even 10x. And the software that will be released for that is coming out over the next few months. So version 14 will be the biggest upgrade in Tesla software since version 12.
Which would put it so far ahead of every other competitor. I believe Waymo is slightly below 20,000 miles between critical interventions in places like Austin and California, which is far less safe than a human, but with interventions makes it safer than a human. But for this to be a scalable system, it has to be safer than a human in every situation. And that 2 to 3 times safety profile is without a driver. So, unsupervised. So unsupervised between critical interventions. We'll see if that's the case. Elon was hyping it up like crazy on the All In podcast. But the expansion from Tesla is really the big story here, is that they are getting into different areas and different regions much faster than competitors have in the long term. But until they pull that safety rider or driver, and until they can get to a very good ratio between robotaxis and teleoperators, they're probably not going to show this on their P&L, on their profit and loss sheet, basically the number they tell the market that, hey, this is how much money we made. But you damn well know that once they do, once they have that 3-to-1 to 5-to-1 ratio and nobody in the car, and they're collecting fares from people, you damn well know they're going to be like, hey, we spent $30,000 per robotaxi in the factory to build them. Now that's your capital expenditure, that's in a separate line. But as you're tracking the cost versus revenue generated by the service, they can start showing, hey, each car is making a profit of, say, $200 per day or $300 per day, whatever that number is. And then that's a very simple multiplication of exercise of, okay, if Tesla has 1 million cars and they're operating 365 days a year, and knowing that a lot of you are Tesla investors, I've partnered with Rebellionaire to sponsor this video. They're an investment firm that works with Tesla investors very closely to reach your financial goals. They don't shy away from people wanting to invest a significant portion of their net worth in Tesla because they understand the story. They spent a lot of time researching FSD, the bot, the energy sector, etc. So where other firms might be like, hey, you're too crazy for having so much Tesla, they work with your Tesla holdings to reach your financial goals. They do things like covered calls, trimming and adding. They employ all kinds of different techniques to maximize your earnings potential, your returns potential on Tesla stock specifically. And they'll work with you every step of the way because they themselves, Matt Smith and Bradford Ferguson, they're both Tesla investors and they've been following this company for a really long time. So if this interests you, head over to rebellionaire.com/Farzad, rebellionaire.com/Farzad, and that's how they'll know that I sent you. Wanted to bring that news forward. very exciting news for Tesla investors. Somber day for content creators, honestly, because of the events of what happened here in the last 24 hours. So I tried my best to, cover this as best as I can. But I will say that, I am concerned about the trend of what I'm seeing out there. But hopefully all of us can come together and shine some light about the future of this country, not just even that specific, situation that happened to Charlie Kirk, which I know is dominating the news headlines, but of course all the other things that have happened in this country from the perspective of safety and violence, specifically violence targeted to political people, but also things like school shootings and stuff. It's just a sad place to be as a country, unfortunately.